What up, what up? It's Jack, aka Just a Cunt here, and in just a few days, UFC 319, Dricius du Plessis versus Khamzet Chimaev will take place in Chicago for the middleweight championship. Here is my full card, picks, and predictions.
No, brother, I tell you, it's gonna do.
I got a nerve. I see I hit a nerve.
Now, starting off this card, which is very solid, I will say. I was kind of nervous a couple weeks back, but they've thrown just enough contenders fights on here to make it pretty solid. I think some people are overblowing it a little bit. I mean, the co-main event is Lerone Murphy, but it still is quite solid. And this card has a lot of difficult matchups that I think are quite tricky, that I don't think people really want to give credit. Like, in my opinion, DDP Khamzat's quite close. Lerone Murphy, Aaron Pico. I think Pico's kind of gets slept on a little bit. I think he could use his wrestling really well to make this fight quite competitive. I think the whole main card, besides Tim Elliott, Kai Asakura, and even that potentially, we still haven't been shown enough about Kai. I'm still just confident, but MVP Jared Cannonier, Jeff Neal, Carlos Prates, I think all these fights are pretty much coin flips besides maybe the main event and the first fight on the card. But nonetheless, let's get started. I'm actually going to be starting at the top of a card. Let's get the big boy out the way and then go down from there. Dricius du Plessis versus Khamzet Chimaev. Now, to me, this fight has been very mischaracterized. The running narrative is that Khamzat has 2 rounds to finish Dricius, or Dricius is gonna fuck him up. Now, I think this is quite disingenuous for a couple reasons. A, we haven't seen Khamzat actually fully gas. We've seen him lose rounds by virtue of being kind of tired, but we've never seen him just be fucking out of it or just getting bullied. He's never been out of the fight by any means. And besides when Burns dropped him, he's never really been close to getting finished. So I think Dricius, who yes hits hard, he's not this type of guy like a Dustin Poirier, or it's hard to find a lot of, or like even like an Elliot Tapor who could really take advantage out of an opponent that's hurt or is a sitting duck. Dricius, even after the first 2 or 3 rounds, isn't gonna have an easy time with Chimaev. It's going to take him some time to land big shots, especially Dricius, who's not very accurate. He's not someone I feel can put a pace on people, but he's more similar to Merab, where he's going to put a pace and win rounds because of it. More or less so get it finished. Honestly, he can't finish Khamzat. I think he can land a lot of shots on him. But I think it's more interesting than just Khamzat first 2 rounds, Dricius, if it gets past, bet on him. In my opinion, though, I am going to go with Khamzet Chimaev. The main reason I'm doing this is I feel this is his fight to lose. Not to say that Dricius just can't win, even if they're both at their best, but more so Khamzat has the tools, I feel, to win this fight relatively comfortably. How he wants to do that can be a variety of methods. He could either go gun-ho the first round. I think he probably has a decent 50-70% chance of just submitting Dricius or TKO him, or at least getting a 10-8, which is something people aren't talking about. He only needs to win the first 2 rounds. If he gets a 10-8 in one and a 10-9 in the other, it's hard. It's a bare minimum draw. So I feel first round if he wants to try and get a 10-8. But I also feel that he's going to be able to take down Dricius whenever he wants. And by virtue of that, he can stall a lot. I think if Khamzat ever feels himself getting tired, he has the luxury that Dricius doesn't have, that he can just, as long as he doesn't get like dropped or hit, if he just clinches up with Dricius, he could pretty comfortably get a takedown or take his back and just sit there. Speaking of which, he is one of the best back takers in the sport. I think he's the best grappler in the sport, period. But in terms of his back taking ability, I think it's really good. And I think if he wants to just camp Dricius there's not too much Dricius can do. While I understand the logic that Dricius should clinch up or create contact with Khamzat to try to disable that double leg, easier to defend the clinch than it is to stop the fucking F-150 coming at his ankles every 5 minutes. It would be a little bit easier just to get that clinch going. But Dricius, I feel, what I'm nervous about with how his coach is talking, he's going to take it to the next level, where he's literally going to try and just shoot shitty takedowns for the sake of doing it. I'm hoping it's more so he's going to try and take advantage of bad positions, get on top of Khamzat in certain moments, and land ground and pound, which I think he can do. He knocked out Derek Brunson from his guard. So I think that is where Dricius can be dangerous for Khamzat. If Khamzat starts to gas, starts shooting lazy takedowns, Dricius gets some reversals, lands big punches. Dricius has been consistently improving. It's just that it's mostly been against strikers, which is good and bad in the sense that he is shown to be able to deal with very difficult defensive strikers like Dricius or like Whitaker, Izzy, Strickland. These are all very defensive strikers for the most part. So being able to deal with all of them in impressive fashion is good, but I don't think that necessarily means to be able to just knock out Khamzat. It's a different game when the other fighter is either up and they don't have to go for the finish, like Adesanya going guns blazing the whole time, or Strickland having to point fight. Khamzat has way more options in this fight where he can get ahead and do a lot more coasting, relying on his jab. Khamzat has a great jab, great twos, and I think he can hurt Dricius or stumble him. I mean, Derek Brunson rocked him. I think if Khamzat puts a good shot on his chin, it's going to hurt Dricius. So I think that's when he's going to knock him out. Not necessarily, but he has the potential to do so. If he lands that uppercut that you know, he hit Ikram is back on the regional scene, that's going to drop Dricius and he could get TKO'd from there. I just think Khamzat has a higher finishing potential on the ground. I think he's more likely to finish Dricius on the ground than Dricius to finish on the feet. I think he has the advantage of being able to put the deck in his favor and just kind of rely on simple, safe stand-up. Or against Gilbert Burns, where people like to be like, Gilbert Burns almost knocked him out at welterweight. Looking at the fight, Khamzat, as soon as he started just landing the jab, staying safe, he was clearly outstriking Burns. But when he was brawling, where that's where he would lose this fight if he decides to go guns a-blazing, you know, not finish Dricius the first 2 rounds, try to brawl with him, and that's where Dricius can land really good shots and hurt or beat Khamzat on the card. So I'm gonna trust Khamzat to play it safe, focus on grappling a lot early, win those rounds, get ahead in the fight, and then stay safe with the jab, and then occasionally going for easy takedowns and getting control time. I'm gonna go with Khamzet Chimaev, and I'm actually gonna say by decision. I think I'm gonna say by decision. Decent shot in the first 2 rounds, but I think Khamzat's actually gonna win a relatively comfortable decision. Moving on though, Lerone Murphy versus Aaron Pico. Aaron Pico. I don't know, I'm making that voice. He's cool. He's similar to Michael Chandler. A little bit more better stand up. That is physically imposing but more technical. And Lerone Murphy, who I actually like. I understand why people dislike him, and I think they have the right to. I was someone that actually found Leon Edwards entertaining, depending on the random 5-round main event he would do. And I really like Lerone Murphy's back kicks. His spinning back kick is very satisfying to watch. Reminds me of Max Holloway. In this fight, Lerone Murphy is going to stay on the outside, use a lot of movement. I don't think the stand-up's going to be too worrying. Lerone Murphy does get caught, but I think he has fought punchers comparable to Aaron Pico, like a Josh Emmett. He's fought, you know, Dan Ige. A lot of these guys, where Ige did catch him, I think he showed a lot of recoverability. I don't think it's a death sentence if he ever gets touched once. I feel more so he's going to have to worry about the grappling and that being implemented, where Josh Emmett was able to pick him up and slam him. I think Aaron Pico is going to have to rely on his grappling a lot. And I think for the first time in the UFC, fighting against someone like Lerone Murphy, who is very smart, he doesn't care about being entertaining. He does definitely go for it if he needs to pull out the win he did against Danny. He'll fucking throw down and fight for the win, which is where if Aaron Pico gets up early in this fight, he can land that shot later after Lerone Murphy a little different. But I think Lerone Murphy is going to stay a little bit more safe, doing better, staying on the outside, picking people apart. I think he's just going to do a classic Lerone Murphy kind of boring fight, lands some spinning back kicks, lands the jab, lands the kicks, kind of just bounces around the cage, and maybe gets hurt once, but I think he's going to win relatively comfortable. I'm going to say a 29-28 decision where the first round is pretty close. Moving on though to what I think is the chance to be a disappointing fight. Jeff Neal, Carlos Prates. A lot of people are just kind of writing this off as a banger, just saying it's going to be an amazing fight, just saying it's going to be the best fight, which I'm not saying it's not going to be. Of course, I want this fight to bang. You know, I want these men to scrap. I want these boys getting center of the octagon and goddamn it, spit on the ground and swing. That's what I'm looking for in this fight. And the problem with this fight is Jeff Neal kind of goes through these up and down cycles where he's a really impressive performance being aggressive, and he kind of tries to play it safe. Now, what is good about that is that where Jeff Neal going for clinches and coming at Carlos can actually play into Pratz's game with the knees. I think Pratz is going to be a lot more active. I think he's going to use his kicks a lot more. I trust that with how good the team he has around him. I know the Fighting Nerds aren't doing as good now, but I still think they have really good coaches. They do a lot of things well that I think Carlos Pratis, who's taken some time off, you know, it took a healthy break. He didn't take a whole lot of damage in that Ian Gary fight. That I feel he's going to use his kicks a lot more. I think he's going to use his range a lot better. And I think he is definitely going to scrap with Jeff Neal. And that's kind of where the problem is, that Jeff Neal is someone that people underestimate in terms of he is still one of the most elite boxing. And he rocked Shavkat multiple times that against Carlos Pratis, he has a decent chance of planting him on Carlos Pratis' chin and knocking him out. Now, I'm not going to predict that, but it's a decent shout. But in my opinion, I think Pratis is going to come out, use his lengths more, use a lot of kicks. I think he's going to do a lot of body work. I think he's going to attack the body a lot of teeps to the body. And I think when Jeff Neal comes in, he's going to land a lot of knees. I think he's going to focus on that. He's going to have the luxury of being able to comfortably use his Muay Thai stance without having to worry about wrestling. And I think he's going to try and just capitalize off Jeff sloppy punches, and I think he's going to try and use his range. And I think he's going to win a comfortable decision, 29-28, where I could see him getting rocked once or twice, but I think Pratis is actually going to get, you know, fuck it, I'm putting my nuts on the table. I'm going to say Carlos Pratis is going to get a body shot TKO from a knee to the body in the third round after a pretty fun, exciting scrap, but there's a chance for it to be kind of boring. Moving on, though, Jared Cannonier, MVP. Am I the only one that feels like MVP is going to school Jared Cannonier? Jared Cannonier is going to need to do a couple things in this fight. He's going to need the clinch. I think he is going to do that. He's been doing that a lot recently. Against the Mavov, he did a lot of clinching. I think he's going to try and land a lot of leg kicks on MVP, and I think he's going to try and hold him against the fence. I think that's going to be his main game plan, which I think is smart. The problem is that I feel MVP, especially early on, Jared Cannonier kind of needs to get rocked a couple times to really get into the fight. Even the Marvin Vettori fight, he got rocked really bad and then came back to win. I think against MVP, it's really difficult for me not to pick him when you give him that in a 3-rounder, where I think early on Kenny's going to be focused on that leg kick. I think MVP is going to play into a really hard right hand where, well, yes, this is middleweight and MVP doesn't have to be as devastating. I think Cannonier is chinny enough that if Marvin Vettori is able to rock him by planting a good shot at him, I think MVP timing a shot off one of Jared Cannonier's leg kicks is going to hurt him and win him a round. And then from there, I just have to trust MVP to win one more. Where I see Jared Cannonier winning the third, clinching with him. I see this being a close competitive fight, but I think MVP is going to win the first 2 rounds, rocking Jared Cannonier early. Second round, staying on outside bouncing, having some close calls, but overall just doing enough where I think Jared Cannonier is a little bit too plotty. He likes to plant and shoot, likes to cut off the octagon. It's really difficult to do it against someone like MVP, where he's going to have to rely on a lot of clinches. And the leg kicks aren't something I would say MVP is just gets destroyed by 24/7, you know. And he's kind of like Sean O'Malley, where he had one finish resulting from a leg kick, where people now just think he's, you know, can just get kicked in the leg and that's how you beat him. But it's a little bit more complicated than that. So I think Cannonier has a decent shout here. He has the power to definitely hurt and knock out MVP. And if he does hurt him early, use the clinches, there's a scenario definitely where Jared Cannonier can get a comfortable win here. But I'm going to trust MVP, who's able to beat Ian Gary on the feet, beat Shara on the feet, beat all these guys on the feet very comfortably as well, never really been in any trouble. I'm going to trust him to do it against Jared Cannonier. He's a little bit too plotty for my liking. Moving on, though, Kai Asakura, Tim Elliott. This fight's pretty simple. Tim Elliott's been off for, like 2 years. He hasn't fought in a long time. And he's just old. I mean, he has the ability to cockroach Kai Asakura, survive some early damage, take him down, you know, just lay on him, you know, do like a lot of grappling, a lot of punches, take him up, put against fence, that vet type performance. But I'm going to go with Kai Asakura, more explosive, more finishing ability, more power. I think he'll be able to hurt Tim Elliott. And I think if he's not able to get a finish, he'll be able to hurt him enough and do enough damage to win a comfortable decision. Moving on, though, Bobby Green versus Carlos Diego Ferreira. Yeah, I'm going to go with Carlos Diego Ferreira. There's not too much to say here. I think he's just going to be able to just hurt Bobby and just win. I think maybe if this was a couple years ago, Bobby Green has a decent shot here, but He is honestly probably the most chinny fighter, maybe in the sport, if not just lightweight. Like, division for division, pound for pound, he's one of the chinniest fighters. And Costa just hits too hard. He can implement the grappling. He can shoot it in there. He's really, really good scrambles. Some of the very underrated scrambling ability. And I think he's going to knock out Bobby Green in the second round. Moving on, though, Gerald Meerschaert versus Michael Oleksiejczuk, the new fighting nerd. And this fight's actually pretty interesting. Part of me wants to go with Big GM3. I mean, I think he might be able to handle an early onset. Oleksiejczuk just hit hard, but he's not so devastating that I think Gerald Meerschaert can't deal with him. And I think he'd use the grappling to make it interesting, where Michael was, got his arm broken, has been controlled in the past. But I'm still going to go with Michael Oleksiejczuk. I'm going to trust his momentum. Gerald Meerschaert did look good against RDR, but I think he's a decent style for it. I don't try to take it's similar to like the Bruno Silva, Alex Pereira. I don't like to take their first like middleweight Apex fight. They literally both fought in the fucking Apex they just dimmed the light super dark and barely see what's going on in there. I'm not gonna take he went to his decision was Bruno Silva, so Bruno Silva that means he's gonna beat it. It's like, I'm not gonna do that. I think Gerald Meerschaert's kind of at the age where every fight's going to be harder and harder for him to really pull off his style, which is just absorbing a lot of damage, coming forward, using the grappling, it's just going to be harder and harder to do that. And I think Michael's a good enough boxer. I think he's going to have the good style to land a lot of shots on Gerald. With the momentum, with the new team around him, I'm going to trust his momentum right now. I'm going to go with Michael Oleksiejczuk. Moving down, though, Lupe Godinez, Jesse Andrade. Lupe Godinez is going to win. Jessica Andrade's fucking retarded. But you might catch her. So, Lupe Godinez, I don't know, fucking decision. Chase Hooper Hernandez. I'm going to trust my boy Chase Hooper. I think a lot of people are going to just blindly go with Chase Hooper because Hernandez isn't the best and Hooper has some decent momentum. But I think Hernandez actually has the level of physicality, the level of grappling, the powerful enough grappling that I think he can bully Chase, and I think there's a decent chance of that. So there is something to go there where Hernandez may be able to deal with Chase Hooper early and then, impose as well. But I actually see him winning early on, where Chase takes a little bit to get warm, to get used to, start implementing grappling, starts looking kind of soft, but then slowly implements it more and more. But I think part of me wants to go for Hernandez. Yeah, part of me is kind of telling myself I'm gonna stick with Chase Hooper. Hernandez is a decent shout here, not too bad, but I'm gonna go with Hernandez. I think he's gonna get hurt early, get rocked in the first round, kind of look frail, and it's like, oh shit, he's gonna get bullied again. But I'm gonna say he's gonna win a decision where it's gonna be very pulling out of the mud. He's gonna pull this shit out the fire, and just have to rely on his grappling in the second round to get some control time. Third round will kind of bust it up, but with his grappling, get more control time, land good ground and pound, and overall win a decision over Alexander Hernandez, who I just can't trust to have consistent performances and to use his skill while he's still iffy for me. Moving on, though, Edson Barboza versus Drakkar Klose. Is it just me? Is it crazy that Drakkar Klose is only 15-3? For some reason, I feel like he's lost a lot more fights than just Beneil Dariush, Joel Alvarez. I don't even remember the third one. I'm going with Drakkar Klose. I don't want to. He's boring. He's good, but he's just fucking boring. He's, I think, from Michigan. That tells me how fucking boring he is. Edson Barboza is getting up there in age, and now he's going to deal with someone who can grapple, who can strike, who's going to do a lot of pressure, who's going to, Edson Barboza's going to have to land a flying knee or knock him out, which I don't really see him doing, especially at this age. I'm going to go with Drakkar Klose. I'm going to say by a decision where he's going to get, I can see him getting hurt early, but, just unfortunately, we're going to be rooting for Edson. I don't know if he's going to have the same ability to land a spinning back kick or land a flying knee. I hope he does, of course. I'm rooting for Edson, but I'm going to go with Drakkar Klose by decision. Brian Battle, Ruzaboyev. Brian Battle pissed me off. I don't know why he annoys me so much. I was a big fan of him. And then I think just that Brian Battle fight just let a best taste in my mouth. I don't know what it is. I feel like, you kind of have to be a little bit delusional to be a UFC fighter. It's kind of the point. But sometimes he's just he says stuff or he acts like he dominates people way more than I don't know. There's something about it. I am going to go with Ruzaboyev. People say that Ruzaboyev lost to Joaquin Buckley, that's just a bad thing. And Lucas Tracy said that he schooled him. when it was a very competitive fight where Buckley pulled it out the end with the takedowns, like that was a really close fight where Buckley had to win and fight for every position, land good shots on the feet, where it wasn't easy by any means. He looked really good against Joaquin Buckley, who is a very good welterweight. To me, that is way more impressive than Brian Battle losing to Randy Brown. He's going to have to deal with someone with the same size. He's going to have to deal with someone who has the grappling. He's going to have to deal with someone that has more variety, with a lot of experience. I'm going with Sensor Boyev. Nonetheless, though, hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you guys had fun. Let me know what you guys think in the comment. Who do you have? Personally, I have DDP by dropping a piano on him. Nonetheless, though, have a good one.